Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera to my panels and my beloved audience. First of all, my name is ERIEKA NESHA. Today, I'm going to present my master project, which are the title is Variation Orders in Industrialized Building System. Hoping that you guys can get some benefit from this presentation. Okay, so this is the presentation outline. Firstly, we will start this presentation with a little bit of introduction regarding variation orders in IBS, following by literature review and methodology, and then the result, and lastly the conclusion and recommendation, also some reference that I have been used to complete this study. Okay, for introduction, the construction industry is one of the key sectors for the economic development of a country. This sector provides many great employment and investment opportunities. CIDB has introduced IBS as a new alternative to conventional method. IBS is known as an on-site construction process consisting of a connected set of components that work together to achieve goals in a construction project. Variation orders are made after change occur. It covers a set of orders which permits alteration or alteration to be done to an earlier consent in case of capacity or nature of work to be carried out. When a variation order is created, it brings several undesirable effects to both the employers and their construction executors. Change in construction projects mean to modification of the design, construction task, project sequencer or project characteristic produced by adjustment of previous situation, assumption or requirements. Variation order will affect complete project routine because changes could bring considerable alteration to the agreement period, total direct and indirect costs. Okay, for problem statement of this study, variation orders exert various effect on the project, which is lead to delay in time completion, increase in project cost, and affect the quality of project. IBS can be seen as one of recommended solution for one-time project completion. However, very limited study emphasize the difference of variation order between different type of construction method. As the process involved in a particular construction method may differ to one another, the critical factor of variation orders might be different as well. Okay, for objective of this study, firstly is to recognize variation order in IBS project. Secondly, to identifying the critical factors and effects of variation order in IBS project. The last one is to propose a practical strategies in handling variation order in IBS project. Okay, scope of project. This study focusing on factors and effect of variation orders in IBS project only. The individuals involved in this study were engineer, site supervisor, quantity surveyor, assistant engineers, and project managers from contractor, developers, and subcontractor with experience in IBS project. This study also focused on Johor Bahru only. Okay, significance of this study. This study is important for construction industries to gain knowledge about variation order that can cause time overrun in construction project. In order to support the government recommendation to use IBS method in construction project, thus it is important to do a specific study about the factors that affect of variation orders in IBS project. Since the factor of variation order is different for IBS project, it is essential to recognize the suitable strategy in handling variation order in IBS project to avoid delay in time completion of project at the same time increase the project cost. Perhaps the strategy that will be proposed could provide as reference to construction players in their decision making. Okay, here we go to the second outline, which is a literature review. Source of variation order has dividing into four factors, which is owner-related factors, consultant-related factors, contractor-related factors, and the last one is other factors of variation. Okay, variation orders arise for a variety of causes. The investigation was attempting to list out the causes of variation orders based on conventional construction paper from multiple sources such as change of schedule, change in scope, owner's financial problem, obstinate the nature, change in specification by the owner, change in design by the consultant, and so on, as you can see in the slide. Okay, variation order also have a variety of effect on projects. The review of several studies resulted in identifying effect of variation order on construction project, such as delay in completion, increase in project cost overrun, time overrun, dispute among professionals, quality of project, reward and demolition, delay in payment, reduction in quality of works, need to hire more professionals, poor safety condition, and the last one is logistic delay. Okay, for the methodology, this flowchart for the study begins with brainstorm issues and problem in construction based on interest. Okay, truthfully, the identification problem, the objective of the study, and the scope of the study were established. Then, the literature review were carried out on the relevant topics. Following this, the data collection using questionnaire survey was conducted before proceeding for the data analysis process. Finally, this study concluded with the result discussion and conclusion of the study. Okay, for literature review, refers to the subject matters or information that bases on the construction method, variation order on construction project, and practical strategies through theories to provide a further understanding of the studies undertaken. Through the information obtained is based on the requirements based on the problem statements, the research objective, and the scope of study that has been set. Okay, this is the flow chart of questionnaire development. Okay, for data analysis, the Likert scale has been used in this study as it is more appropriate to gain insight into respondents' perception and attitudes. This scale has 5 ordinal steps ranging from 1 to 5 according to level of agreement. Okay, the data has been keyed into the spreadsheet of the computer and Microsoft Excel that has been analyzed. The data, the result of the study of the data of the study has been obtained by using the average method and frequency. Okay, furthermore, AI method has been used to rank the identification factors with an index range of 1.0 to 5.0 as shown in below. Average index will be calculated by using following formula. Okay, so for the result, return rate due to the research objective, 300 questionnaires survey form have been distributed among the targeted respondents within 5 weeks. The respondents are required to fill up the questionnaire based on their experience and knowledge throughout their involvement in the construction industry. Besides, the questionnaires survey form were distributed by Google Form to the targeted respondent. Okay, for demographic, a total of 64 have responded to the survey form that have been distributed. Okay, based on the answer from the survey form, 77% of the respondents are from the contractor class. Next, 11 of consultant were followed by subcontractor by 9%. Finally, as much as 3% from other parties. Okay, from this data, it can be seen that more than 50% are from the professional group, making that the data received applicable. As for the site supervisor, they are actually more knowledgeable about the situation on the site because they spend more time on the site construction site. Okay, from this data, although more than 50% of the respondents only had 1 to 5 years of experience, they also had experience in projects involving IBS, making the response they give are acceptable. Okay, most respondents had experience in IBS project at 56%, which is the range of 1 to 5 years, followed by respondents who have 5 to 10 years experience in IBS project at 39%. Next, the respondents have 10 to 5 years of experience by 3%, and finally by 2% of respondents have experience in the range of 15 years and above. This method is good for statistical results to prove the validation of responses because many respondents have more than 1 year experience in IBS project. Okay, based on this data, it shows majority of project using IBS in Johor Bahru are residential and buildings project. The demographic of this type of project are important as an additional justification to make it easier for researchers to focus more on the type of project that is often developed around Johor Bahru. Okay, based on the answer from the survey form, most of the respondents have knowledge about variation order. This proves the variation order has involved in each construction project, whether conventional method or IBS method. Okay, from the figure, it can be seen that the three highest average are direct variation requested from the client with an average value reading of 4.86. Next, followed by variation requested by consultant with an average value reading of 4.73, and third ranking is variation requested by contractor with an average value reading of 4.71. This indicates that these three parties, which is client, consultant, and contractor, are closely related. While for the lowest, a range is reworked due to quality deficiency with an average value reading of 2.81. It is because in the IBS projects, quality deficiency is something that should not happen because quality is an aspect that is highly emphasized in IBS project. Okay, based on the factors that have been collected, it have been classified into four appropriate categories, namely owner-related factor, consultant-related factor, contractor-related factors, and other factor of variation order. The average value of each of these factors are calculated and determines the critical factors based on each category involved. Okay, a total of 5 factors are listed under the category of owner-related factors. Based on the total average value for each factor, it can be seen that the most critical factor for the owner-related factor is owner financial problem with an average value reading of 4.89. The owner's financial problem can be affect project progress. This result shows that the financial stability on the part of the owners is very important for a project, especially for IBS project that require high startup costs. These issues frequently causes change in work schedule and specification affecting construction quality. Meanwhile, for the least critical factor for owner-related factors is change in scope with an average value reading of 3.49. Okay, it clearly shows that the most critical factors for the consultant-related factors in IBS construction project is change in specification by the consultant with an average value of 4.33. Specification change are common in construction project with inadequate project objective. If the consultant decides to change the specification of a design of requirements, this may result in change during the construction phase. Meanwhile, for the least critical factors is consultant lack of judgment and experience with an average value of 2.88. Okay, for this study, it can be seen that this factor was ranked lowest by the respondent because in managing project involving IBS, skills in judgment and experience are very important. Therefore, each party involved should be from an experienced group. Okay, from this figure, it can be seen that the three highest average are contractor financial difficulties, poor knowledge of available materials and equipment, and unavailability of equipment. Okay, meanwhile, for the lowest average are differing site conditions with an average value of 2.7. This is maybe because of the differing site condition is rarely happen in IBS construction projects, thus the factor has no great effect on the construction project. Okay, a total of 13 factors are listed under the category of owner-related factors. Based on the total average value for each factors, it can be seen that the most critical factor for the other factors of variation order is shortage of skilled manpower. One of the most important resources required for technological project is skilled labor. Variation and delay may occur as a result of skilled labor shortage. Meanwhile, for the least critical factor is weather condition with an average value reading of 2.69. For this result, it can be seen that this factor was ranked lowest by the respondent because of Malaysian mild weather. This factor has little impact on the IBS construction project. Okay, apart from the Likert scale question, open-ended questions were also used in this section to identify any additional factors that not listed in the questions given to the variation order in the IBS project located around Johor Bahru. The collection of views and shares from respondents are listed in the table. Okay, a total of 12 effects were framed as a result of previous search and suggestion from respondents during the pilot phase conducted on the topic on variation order in IBS project. It can be seen that the three highest average are increase in overhead expenses with an value of 4.87, followed by cost overrun, and then the third highest effect are delay in payment. Meanwhile, for the lowest effect of variation order in IBS project are reduction in productivity of work with an average value of 3.09. Based on data from respondents, we can see that the three critical effects are financially related. Referring to the critical factors of variation orders, it is causes from owners and contractor financial problem. The result from this study correspond to the critical effect on the causes of the variation instruction. The most common effect of variation is an increase in project cost. Any changes or addition to the design during project execution may result in demolition or rework of any project component, ultimately increase the project cost. As a result, In order to keep the overall project cost constant, a contingency sum is typically allocated in every construction project to account for possible variation in the project. Okay, for conclusion, this research is aimed to study how variation orders affect in construction project by identifying the factors affect and ascertaining the strategies to overcome the problem in dealing with variation order works. Therefore, this research strives to fulfill the following objective. Okay, the first objective of the study is archived through the literature review as presented in chapter 2 as well as section 2 of the questionnaire survey, where the type of variation works in construction project have been identified. The result revealed that the 9 types agreed by the respondent include direction variation requested by client, variation requested by consultant, variation requested by the contractor, variation due to force majeure, addition of work to the original scope, deletion or shrinking of the original scope of work, variation due to change carried outside the original scope of work, unavoidable variation due to unexpected event or circumstance, indirect variation due to failure to act by the client, rework due to quality deficiency. Referring to this data, it can be recognized that the variation order also occur in the IBS project. For the last type, which are rework due to quality deficiency, not much was agreed by the respondents. Okay, from the findings, the critical 5 factors and effect were it can conclude that the most critical factors are more related to the financial matter. This shows how serious the financial factors are in the IBS project. Okay, regarding to the critical factor related to financial matter, the most critical impact will also be related to finance. It can be seen in table effect. The critical effect are increase or in overhead expenses, cost overrun, and delay in payment. Also, the value of average is not much different from each other. This is enough to prove finance are the root causes of major problem in the IBS project and should not be taken lightly. In addition, the most affected party causes from variation orders is the contractor. Therefore, on behalf of the contractor, strategies for controlling variation should be well planned by the stakeholders in a project to minimize the impact. Okay, for objective 3, to propose practical strategies in handling variation orders in IPS project. From the finding, the practical strategies based on 5 critical factors were concluded in this table, as you can see. Okay, from all the strategies outlined, the researcher find out that the most important strategies were ensure that the design specification fall within the approved budget, advise to provide contingency provision, and deploy a qualified quantity surveyor or cost advisor in advance. This can be summarized that the top 5 rank of the strategies are mostly regarding the matter of owner-related and contractor-related factors. Okay, for limitation of this study, the researcher was confronted with some constraints which resulted in the study's limitation. The first impediment was a lack of time. Okay, due to time constraint, only companies in the Johor Bahru area were chosen as respondent. The sample size for this study was quite small. Only 60% of questionnaire survey were collected by the researcher. The research could be more precise if the sample size was larger. Okay, the accuracy of this study is lower. It should govern many more areas in order to collect more accurate and precise data for the industry as a whole. Okay, due to epidemic occurring in this country, the method of data collection also limited through Google Form only. The respondent will increase if there are various methods of data collection. Okay, for the recommendation, as there are several limitations, this research reveals only a partial understanding of handling variation order in construction project involving IBS. It is recommended that a more detailed and comprehensive research to be carried out for this method of construction. Therefore, the following are several of the potential topics recommended for future research. First one is study the most critical factors for variation order in IBS project. In this context, financial factors are critical factor and have been mentioned many times in previous studies. Study the variation order in IBS construction project focusing on specific types, for example, project involving residential, building, commercial. Okay, the last one is case study related to variation order in IBS construction project. Okay, so this is the Gantt chart for this project. Also, the reference that I have been used to complete this project. Alright, that's all from me. Thank you for lending your ears and have a good day and stay safe. Thank you.